Howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 297.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems on a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is circling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey, Who fans? It's 297.
Rocking towards 300.
Indeed, yes. So welcome to the podcast. I hope you've all had a cracking week, that you're all healthy and safe, and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Yes,
Indeed. Yes. We are approaching 300, dude. That's scary.
I know. Crack, isn't it?
Scary times. Kind of. Not scary, great in a way. Amazing in more ways. So how the bloody hell we kept this going for nearly 300?
I don't know.
It's one of the big mysteries of the world. Not the world. That's putting more importance on us than is needed.
It's not up there with the Bermuda Triangle or anything like that, but it's up there.
It's up there, I would say. I would imagine people like John Barrowman, the new president, Joe Biden. Imagine those sorts of guys. They're like, yeah, these guys have done all right.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Biden was kicking back listening to the last one, going, yeah, these guys, they're doing all right.
Yeah. Well, he needed something.
He's like Gaga's trying to rehearse. He's like, hang on a minute. I'm trying to listen to the podcast. Oh, sorry.
They're just getting onto the scores. Come on. Hold on.
Keep it down.
I imagine they needed something as a bit of a distraction from the whole Trump stuff that was going on for ages.
We're it.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's quiet out there, dude, in the world of Doctor Who.
Yeah, but wait.
Oh.
Breaking news, Gillian Anderson is the new 14th Doctor, apparently.
Apparently so, yeah.
Oh, more rumours, mate, more rumours. Somebody, I feel a bit out of touch because I don't know who it is, but somebody's made a video where they said, some actress, is it, or a singer, has made a video where they said, oh, I know who the new Doctor is, and she's really fierce.
Oh, God.
And she's best friends with Gillian Anderson, so everyone's putting 6 and 2 together and making 29, and they're like, yeah, it's Gillian Anderson is the new Doctor. It's like the Masked Singer. They're just throwing out the crazy, I mean, I would love it. Gillian Anderson would be amazing as the Doctor. I'm sure. Would you because you love the X-Files, do you like her as the new Doctor?
Not really.
No?
No.
I think she'd be amazing.
Nah.
Well, how come?
She's not quirky enough. She hasn't got enough.
Oh, she's a bit dead. Wow.
Don't get me wrong, mate. The X-Files is one of my favourite shows ever. And I think she's brilliant in that. And some other things she's been in is really good. I'm not a huge fan of The Crown. My wife watches it a lot. She loves it. But the few episodes that I have watched, when she was playing Margaret Thatcher. She had that absolutely nailed. So she's, in terms of acting ability, yeah, dude, amazing. But I just don't feel she's quirky enough to play the Doctor. I think she'd be a bit too straight.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That might not be a bad thing after Jodie, though, because we want a complete contrast, and Jodie's very quirky. Some would say too quirky, but yeah, it would be nice to have a more serious Doctor, I think. But I know what you mean. She is a bit deadpan, isn't she? So I could see it working, though. If she was announced as the 14th Doctor, I wouldn't be disappointed. Let's put it that way. I would be quite happy with that.
Yeah, no, Regia.
But it won't be. It won't be. It won't be.
But then again, and I don't want to open up a huge can of worms here, but there's no guarantee that they will cast another female Doctor, right? We could go back to having a male Doctor.
Yeah, we could.
That's not beyond the realms of possibility, right? I mean, let's not forget that the driving force behind having a female Doctor was Chibnall.
Yeah.
And if he... Oh, this is so weird talking about this because it's all rumour and conjecture, but if the rumours are true, well, half of them anyway, because half of the rumours are that he's staying on and Jodie's going, but then there's another half that are like Chibbers is going as well. So if he is going, if that part of the unreal thing is real, then the new showrunner might be like, well, we had a good stab at that. And I don't know, we could go down a whole rabbit hole of if we feel the BBC did this for political reasons or not. We don't know, but there's no guarantee that the next Doctor will be another female. We don't know. So,
my gut feeling is it will be.
You reckon?
I think it will, and I'm all on board with that. To be honest, I kind of in a way want it to be, because I'd like to see a really strong female lead, like we say when we watch the Sarah Jane Adventures. I want somebody like Liz Sladen, who really sort of takes on and a strong lead. But so I would like to see another female Doctor, just to see but I want them to be very different to Jodie. Let's put it that way. I would like to see another female Doctor, but a very different Doctor. That's why I like the Fugitive Doctor, Jo Martin Doctor, because she was so different to Jodie. In fact, in the episode, she points out, doesn't she? How different she is. She's willing to just blow everyone's heads off. So a lot of people are saying, oh, no, but that's too far. That's very undoctorish. Fine. Get an in between the two or something would be amazing. But we'll see. Anyway, it's all, like you said, it's all conjecture.
It is.
At the minute.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
You're not up for Lenny Henry being the Doctor, no?
Absolutely not. He's too busy in The Masked Singer as Blob.
You reckon?
It's definitely him.
Yeah, true.
No,
it's always a fun game to play, though. Who's going to be the next Doctor?
Who's the next Doctor? Yeah. And there's a funny thing is, as soon as the next one's announced, people will already be saying, how long are you staying? Who's the 15th Doctor? Are you going to be there for the 60th? I don't know. Here's a question, though, just before we move off the subject, right? So someone was saying the other day about the new showrunner and stuff, because, of course, Chris has stormed off and he's sulking inside the Dalek suit. So does Chris, did Moffat get to choose Chris as the showrunner? Who cast that job?
No,
so would Chibnall get to choose the next showrunner? Who makes that decision?
No, it's not I imagine the current showrunner would probably, so that's down to the senior management for BBC drama. Whoever runs all of that stuff, like the upper echelons of the BBC, the people up on top of the mountain. So they're the guys that will make that decision. But I imagine that the current showrunner will say to them, if you're thinking of hiring that person, then yeah, that's a great shout because of X, Y, and Z. Or if they don't like them, they might be like, I'd reconsider that because of X, Y, and Z. So I think they probably have a hand in giving their thoughts on said person, but I don't think it's their decision.
So it's like any job. So somebody who wants to become the new showrunner of Doctor Who, I'll have to come in and present their case and do an interview pretty much. So, this is what I've done in the past. And, and I can imagine when the BBC interviewed Chibnall, but he's like, well, look, I've done Broadchurch, mate. You know what I mean? 10 million viewers. So you might want to consider me.
Well, I don't think it works exactly like that. I don't think he interviews for it. I think it's more a case of the executives at the BBC will invite him out to dinner or lunch and they'll have a talk about it and say, you spoke to us a couple of years ago about wanting to do this. Can you tell us what your ideas are and stuff like that? Because I imagine that I'm no expert, don't get me wrong, but I would say that if the executives really want a certain person to come on and be showrunner, then they will go after that person and invite them to lunch and do all that stuff. And that person will be like, oh, great, yeah, that's cool. Or they'll be like, nah, it's not for me. I'm not, I've got other stuff that I want to do. I don't think it's like you'll see a job advert up on the BBC website for a new showrunner so I don't think you'd go in and interview and all that lot. I think it's more a case of, yeah, we really like you. We really want you to do it. But then it also depends on not just the current showrunner, but it also depends on it normally comes down to one person. I've found over the years of watching documentaries and behind the scenes of various TV shows, it typically comes down to one person who's like the cheerleader for who they want to be as that role. So there's normally like a writer or a writing team or somebody or a producer or somebody like that, and they will be like, we really have to get this person to be the showrunner, and they will champion that, and they will do that stuff. So like I said, I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure the current showrunner will say, I think that's a good idea, or you're crazy, and then it's up to those people to be like, well, thanks for your opinion, but yes or no. We don't.
And we all know how like welcoming the BBC are when they want you, and then as soon as they've had enough, booted out onto the floor with a bottle of gin. Stephen Moffat's just outside the BBC by the bins, waiting for Chibnall to join him. Come and share this bottle. I've saved you half a bottle here. Yeah, kicked out as soon as the usefulness has been.
Whenever we talk about this stuff, it always reminds me of a scene from The Office in the I think it's either the Christmas it's the Christmas special where David Brent, he doesn't work at the office anymore, but he's got another job and he's going up and down the motorway and he's in this motel and he's just like, he's got a little glass of whiskey and stuff and he's having a good old rant to himself, and he's like, and he's talking about Neil, the guy who took over his job.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, he'll make one too many mistakes, and then what they'll do is they'll drag him out by his hair, and then they'll come to me, and that's where the begging's going to start. But this is going to cost you. This is going to cost you. And he's half cut, and he's just having a good old rant about it to himself. I just imagine that Moffat's like that with his glass of wine, and he's just shouting at the TV. This is awful. But they're going to come to me and say, yeah, you were right all along. They're going to drag Chibbers out. But this is going to cost you.
Talking of showrunners, mate, have you been watching any of the new Russell T Davies show? It's a Sin.
It's a Sin. I have
been watching any of that.
I've not watched most of it. I've only watched the recreation of the Dalek attack.
Oh, right. I haven't seen that bit yet.
Scene, yes. The recreation of that. So it's a pretty sweet show from what I've seen, though.
Where was that bit then? I haven't seen that bit yet.
I don't know, buddy. I just looked it up. I saw some people tweeting about it, and I thought, oh, that looks cool.
Right.
But no, I've not watched anything other than that bit. But what's it?
I've watched the first two, and it's really good, what I've seen. So they've uploaded the whole series to iPlayer, so you can binge watch it if you want, which is great in some ways. But it's also bad in others because I'm sort of really trying to avoid spoilers now. So I'm trying to instead of sort of savouring it and enjoying it, I'm trying to watch it as fast as I can because I don't want any spoilers. And already I've seen that apparently episode 3's had everyone in bits. And I've got a friend who's like, I never cry at TV, never makes me cry. And I was bawling my eyes out and I was thinking, oh God, because I'll cry at anything. So apparently episode 3 is heartbreaking. In fact, the whole series is. But the 2 episodes I watched are brilliant. There's something about Russell's style of writing which is so easy to watch, and but also he really, I mean, even in episode 1, he packs a punch. So it's quite a sort of fun episode. There's lots going on. He's introducing all the characters in the brilliant way that Russell does. So you instantly love the lead guy, and I don't know how he does it. He makes it look so effortless that you just get the characters from, like, literally within the first 10 minutes. You kind of know who they are, and you know which ones you like, and who, he's a bit of a git, and so it's but yeah, even that first episode, you're going along for the ride, and then suddenly, wham bam, there's a bit of a, something happens, not going to say what, and you're like, oh no, and you're in bits. And it's just his writing style is so good, Russell. And he hasn't lost it at all. I mean, he's done a lot of television. This is his new project, and he's been on all the talk shows, bigging it up. And you think, yeah, but I bet it's, it's not going to be, as good as sort of Queer as Folk or anything, is it? But or Doctor Who, whatever. And then you watch it and you think, God, he's so good. It's really, really good. Well, I've only watched the first two, but what I've seen is just so good. So much, the style of writing is just brilliant. I just have so much admiration for Russell. I really do.
Yeah, even though it does look very good.
Yeah, I was going to say I am looking forward to finishing it off. Yeah, to get into I think it's only 6 parts, so I should probably get that finished by the end of the week.
Yeah.
I'm just preparing myself for it. Everyone says it's emotional, so I'm just, and also now I don't want to watch it with my other half because I hate crying in front. If I'm on my own, I actually quite enjoy, I quite enjoy TV moving me to the extent that I'm teary. I quite like that sort of feeling of, it's almost heartwarming, isn't it? But if I'm with someone, you try and hold it back. You're like, I'm not crying. So it kind of ruins my enjoyment. So I've been trying to sort of say, oh, it's not really your thing. You won't. I'll watch it on my own. You won't like it. But no.
Yeah, go on, sod off.
Yeah. Let me have the TV.
Yeah. Oh, mate, yeah, like a little cry. You like a bit of a...
Well, I like it when TV moves you. Like, I mean, I always mention the hologram speech that Nine does in Part of the Ways. I just love that scene, and it gets me all emotion. I like that feeling of it's not crying because it's a sad scene. It's crying because of the words he's saying about having a good life. It means something. I quite like it when television does that. That it can move, it can reach in and find something in you that you relate to, that it moves you to the extent you feel that emotion. Quite like that feeling.
It's a bit like the Vincent and the Doctor episode, right at the end.
Yes, exactly. Oh, exactly.
That's an emotional build up, and that gets you. That gets me every time, anyway.
It does me. Yeah, that's another good example. Yeah. So I don't know. So I'll be watching the rest of that and trying to not to cry.
Yeah, read you, mate. Before we move on, we haven't got any news or much really to speak about. Before we move on to our review, I assume you pre-order because this dropped as we were recording last week.
It did, yes.
So I assume, buddy, that you've pre-ordered the season 24 Blu-ray collection box set.
Oh, I was doing it as we were doing the outro.
Yeah, me too.
I was because we were recording the podcast last week, and I could see I'd suddenly got loads of messages. Like my phone was going mad. I was like, well, what's happening? So the music's playing. We're doing my name's Gary, my name's Adam. I just quickly glanced over my phone, like, why is everyone? And I'd got a missed call from Ad. I thought, what's going on? What is happening in the if I missed something big? And of course, everybody knows that I love that season. So so many people were saying, Ad, guess what? It's season 24 is the next set, and it's out now. And I was like, so yeah, I was back. We were doing the outro, and I'm on hmv.com looking to see. And apparently Zoom haven't got it. Zoom are a bit. I nearly said a swear word then. They're not very happy because apparently they may not be getting it, and they didn't know anything about it, which is I think why they're a little bit miffed. They're like, well, we weren't. Normally we get a little press thing sent to us so that we're geared up to put it on pre-sale, but we haven't even got any on order, so we're not going to put it on our website if we don't know if we can, commit to if we're going to get stock. And also, some people are saying that they might be closing because they're not stocking new releases. I don't know. There's something going on with Zoom. Not quite sure what it is. So, take that all as not as read sort of thing. But But anyway, yes, obviously I pre-ordered it straight away. I love McCoy. I really like that season. It's it kind of fits into the. I mean, I don't like this phrase, but it does fit into the guilty pleasure sort of section, if you like, because it's not great in terms of the production, and the performances are a bit pantomime and silly, but there is a charm to that season. And I think because I watched it at the time when it first went out, and before that Doctor Who got quite gloomy with the Colin Baker era. It was quite grim, and Colin's Doctor, as much as I like him, was quite fierce. I just loved season 24 because it was a complete change of direction. It was fun, it was camp, it was bright. McCoy was just a totally different Doctor. I just love season 24. So despite all its faults, I'm delighted it's the next release. And the extras, dude, Oh, the extras! Have you seen some of the stuff that's going to be on it?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I mean, the trailer with Bonnie is brilliant, isn't it?
24 carat.
24 carat. I was in heaven watching that after we recorded. I just thought it was so good, with them all doing their little auditions, and then you knew it was McCoy coming in looking a bit Skywalker in his black hood, and he whips it off, and
With
he's
the
in the Seventh Doctor
spoons
out, with a spoon. Just brilliant. I mean, just so grateful for how much effort they put into these sets. Really, really can't stress that enough. I mean, it's these things have been issued quite a few times now over the years on DVD and stuff. So the fact that they really go for it with these sets is, something we should be grateful for. I think so much love goes into it, doesn't it? Into them, I mean.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and that was the same as you as we were recording last week. I had a couple of people message me to say you need to look at this immediately.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm recording at the minute, so it can't be. Oh, hold on. Yep, I do need to look at that immediately. So I jumped on and ordered it, and but sorry.
I said to you, didn't I? I was like, Gary, it's season 24, and you're like, I know. I've just you'd messaged me on Skype as we're recording, but I hadn't seen it. And you're like, I know. I've been trying to tell you. The excitement levels, but I know it's not your favourite McCoy era because as much I know you love McCoy now, but I think it took a little while for you to get into his era because of the production values and stuff. But probably not your favourite McCoy season, I guess, but it's still fun, isn't it? Like Delta and the Bannermen cracks us up, doesn't it? With Bonnie and the Green Baby and all that. It's crazy.
Yeah, do you know what, dude? It's the McCoy era just grows on me every year, and the more I watch and stuff, it just grows on me more and more. And do you know what? I don't mind season 24 at all. Not at all. I think it's got two absolutely bonkers, crazy stories with Paradise Towers and Delta, and they're just completely bonkers.
Yeah.
But there's something so good about that because they have a wonderful way of combining this dark undertone, especially in Paradise Towers, this dark undertone and sinister stuff that's going on under the surface, but it layers this kind of fun, just energy on top of it, which is great. And I'm over the moon, mate, for this. I think this is one of the best. It's up there for me as one of the best things to do, just because the stories, like you just mentioned, but the special features as well, just crazy. Like the we've got Colin Baker coming back to watch some stuff on the sofa stuff.
That's going to be amazing, isn't it?
Behind the sofa things, and it's just really cool. So we've got Peter Davison watching it. We've got Colin Baker, people that weren't involved at all in Who at that point, but they just drafted them all in to come and have a look. So
I didn't realise Peter was on there. I knew Colin was in it. I didn't realise Peter was.
Yeah, Peter Davison.
Well. That's brilliant.
As well as Jeanette Fielding and Sarah Sutton. They've come back to have a crack as well and watch it with those guys. So it's really cool. But then we've also got the that Doctor's Table thing, which looks really good.
Yes.
Which is cool. And then you've got the extended versions of all of those 4 stories that are on that season. They're with like unseen stuff before. This is crazy.
I was going to say, I didn't know that they that's new to me. I was thinking, I know they've done extended version of McCoy stories before, but I don't think any of these have ever come out extended before. So that's going to be mad. Yeah.
Yeah. So even after all this time, they're still putting out new stuff that we haven't seen before from Classic Who. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we've got the soundtrack as well. We've got all the isolated music as separate tracks you can listen to for these new things. Brand new documentaries, the Matthew Sweet thing, obviously.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
With
Matthew
McCoy.
Sweet talking to Sylv. That'll be fun. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And we've also got something on there called convention footage, which is a bit vague, but that might be quite cool. So you and I, and we're big convention goers normally.
Yeah.
Outside the COVID world. Yeah. So dude, I can't wait for this. I think it's gonna be awesome. But I'm a bit, I normally order these sets from Zoom. So like you, I'm a bit weirded out as to why they're not on here, but I've got season 8 pre-ordered with them. So hopefully nothing goes wrong with those guys and that's all good. But I was really surprised because normally those guys are on the ball. So I'm wondering why they haven't been included. And they've been really good to us in the past. I mean, they gave us two sets of the previous. What was the one after? the very first Tom Baker set they brought out, which was what, series 12?
12. Yeah, 12.
The one after that, what was that?
Was it Peter? Can't remember.
Might have been Peter. Yeah, they gave us 2 copies of that to give away. A couple of years ago now?
Yeah,
or last year. So they've been really good to the podcast, and they've normally uber friendly, and they're a bunch of good guys. So, and I like the fact that they feature Doctor Who prominently throughout their website, even when there's not a big thing going on. They normally have a big Doctor Who section and stuff. So, yeah, a bit upset that these guys haven't had a chance to do it. But so I had to put an order in with Amazon. Otherwise, I thought if I wait for Zoom and they don't get it, I might miss it on Amazon as well.
That's the thing, you don't want to miss out. Yeah.
So I had to go with old billionaire what's his face for the pre-order. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully Zoom will get them. But
they might do. Cool. Yeah, it might just be because I think I was surprised. I mean, it was a bit sort of maybe it was a bit of a shock announcement. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully they'll get it. Just keep checking. Yeah. But yeah, very excited for that. I think is it scheduled for June, something like that, or is it one that hasn't got a date yet? But
it hasn't got a date yet.
No,
I don't think so. Pre-order it and we'll let you know when it's due to. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
There was a date when it first went up on Amazon. I think you're right. It was June, July time, but then they took it off pretty quick. So yeah, but it's a great season. I know it's not up there with a lot of people's classic Who sort of favoured eras, but I think it's going to be cool. Wonderful set.
It's going to be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Before we move on with our review, just want to remind everybody to and thank everybody who does currently subscribe to the show. But you can subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcast app you get your podcast on. Just do a search for Big Blue Box Podcast. That way you won't miss a show when it lands every Friday. We also have a website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there. Plus you can read all of the cool articles that our writing team put out. And there are links on the website to go off to the socials. We're on those too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, or just do a search for us there. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, so come and give us a like and a follow over there. We have a free Discord server as well. So there's a link to that on the website. Come and hang out with other Doctor Who fans and chat all sorts of Doctor Who over there. It's we have stuff about classic Who, modern Who, Big Finish, merchandise, the whole shebang.
The whole lot,
yeah. So come and get involved over there. And we also had a really nice review on Apple Podcasts recently from a user called Steely M. So I don't know who you are exactly, but I just want to read this because it's lovely. She says, or he or she says, since 2014, the hosts Gary and Adam have been entertaining our ears with this fantastic podcast. The heart of this podcast lies with the love that the hosts have for the show, which makes it really stand out from the rest. Every week, they give us the latest news. Dalek Tat sassily throws in the latest merch, but Dalek Tat is no more. Finally, they review a story from Doctor Who or one of its spin-offs each week, giving us their honest opinions and thoughts. If you even remotely like Doctor Who, I can 100% guarantee you will love the podcast. What are you waiting for? Stop reading and press play. Thank you so much for that review. Whoever you are, Steely M, that's so lovely for you to put that on Apple Podcasts. So thank you very much for that. That means the world, those reviews. I know you can't leave reviews on Spotify and some other podcast apps, but on Apple Podcasts and I think Stitcher and a couple of other things. Those of you that have left reviews, thank you so much because that really helps us out within those apps as well. So if you go on and just search for Doctor Who, it helps our show come up near the top of those results with those reviews. So thank you so much. And then lastly, very quickly, remember to check out Adam's channel over on YouTube.
Oh yes,
it is The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, there'll be a new video possibly out the night this podcast goes out. Right. I don't know, it might, it should be. I've almost finished editing it, so yeah, there could be a video out right now.
There could be.
Possibly, don't know, it's all timey-wimey. We're recording this on Wednesday, so it should be.
The crazy world of YouTube, eh?
I know.
Yes, but yeah, go and check out Adam's channel. Loads of cool stuff over there. Right, buddy, review time. What we got this week?
Yeah, so this week we're back to the Torchwood guys, and the episode's called Reset.
Suddenly in an underground mortuary on a wet night in Cardiff, I hear the song of a nightingale. Miss Martha Jones. We've got a murder victim and a survivor, both attacked with hypodermics, both with their medical records wiped.
And more cases across the UK.
We're not dealing with a freak with some needle fetish. This is a conspiracy.
My money's on this stuff from Marie's blood.
I had HIV.
An alien life form is preying on the human bloodstream. I need a way in there.
We're on the edge of the greatest discovery in history. It's got to be worth a few sacrifices.
What have you done?
What have you done?
Ooh.
What have you done? So, Reset from Torchwood. This was first broadcast back on the 13th of February, 2008. What a lovely episode to watch for Valentine's Day, eh? Yeah. It was written by J.C. Wilshire, directed by Ashley Way, stars the usual Torchwood Hub crew that we've seen throughout Series 2 thus far, with a couple of additional supporting cast members, one of them obviously very prominent, and another couple of people there. And the story is Martha Jones arrives at Torchwood after reports of numerous deaths. A medical researcher has been injecting workers with mayflies. The mayflies cure all illness before killing the patient. And Martha has got one. Or she had one. Or she might still have one. I don't know. She might
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Yeah. So, Reset, buddy. What are you saying about this one?
Yeah, quite good, actually. Quite a good, solid episode, this. I quite like this one.
Yeah, quite good.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, there's nothing. Yeah, the thing is with rewatching these Tortured ones, I haven't got to any episode yet where it's sort of blown me away, or I've been like, "That was brilliant." You know, so I just haven't been getting that from these rewatches. They're all good, you know, in their own way, or at least most of them are. We've had one or two duds, but no, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a solid ep, is how I would describe it. It's a good idea of these parasites that, you know, and clean out the body and cure stuff, but actually they don't. And then you've got all the aliens being experimented on and stuff. And you've got the guy who used to be in Neighbours, who's actually a very good actor. What's his name? Alan Dale. And then you've got Martha thrown into the mix. And I think this is kind of what makes the episode interesting. I think if you didn't have Martha in this, it would be a very standard run-of-the-mill Torchwood episode. But because you throw Martha into the mix, it does make it more interesting, and she's really good at it, and she fits in very nicely with the whole Torchwood team, actually. So it was, yeah. I mean, the best way I can describe it is I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I thought it was a good, solid episode with a decent story. And the ending shocked me. Now, it's not the first time I've watched Torchwood. Obviously, I've watched Torchwood a couple of times over the years, but obviously they haven't stuck in my mind, because when Owen got shot at the end, I was surprised. It was as if it was the first time I'd watched it. I was like, Owen's been shot? I don't remember this. And I was thinking, does he die? I genuinely can't remember if he dies or if they bring him back to life in the next episode. I mean, there was a trailer at the end, so I know he's in it. Mm-hmm. And I think he comes back alive. I can't remember how they do it, or maybe he does die. I honestly can't remember. But the ending shocked me. So that was good. Yeah, there's some good little scenes, like Owen and Tosh have a little moment finally, because she's been trying to ask him out on this awkward date, and he's such a lad that he hasn't even realised because he's such a geezer. And he finally says yes, and I thought that was a nice little moment. And so, yeah, I liked it. I thought it was decent. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it was a fairly decent story, this one, and I actually quite enjoyed it, you know. It was one of those episodes where it does move along at a decent pace throughout.
Yeah, pacing was good on this. Yeah.
Yeah. I think something we've struggled with in the past with Torchwood, especially early on in Series 2, the first couple of episodes, was that it felt like it had some good ideas there. Some of it was, but it just felt like it was like, right, you're 20 minutes in, you think, right, the story's going to really ramp up now and get going, and it doesn't. And then
it doesn't, yeah.
Half an hour in, 10 minutes later, it's like still not quite there. And then before you know it, it's done and dusted. And you think, well, that was okay, but it just felt like it needed a bit more oomph, you know, a bit more.
We've said that with a few episodes, haven't we? It's got a good concept, but it just doesn't, it stays in the same gear, I think, is how you described it.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, dude, I thought this one was actually pretty sweet, because it had a good combination of, it was a bit of a detective story for the first half. It was trying to figure out exactly why these people were dying. And there were some clues, but even when you had the combined effort of Owen and Martha, the two medical experts, they still couldn't figure out what it is was happening. So all you had was people dying without any known cause, really. And the only clue at the scene of the crime was a needle puncture mark in their eyeball, which was disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
And so you didn't really know what was going on, because they didn't know what was going on. It wasn't like the viewer was left with any clues. And it was like, sometimes they write a story where, as a viewer, you get like a little bit of an explicit, like, this is what's going on, but you're kind of one step ahead of the people in the show. You kind of know what's happening, and you just almost, and I think that's what prompts people to shout with their TV sometimes. It's like, no, you kind of shout because you want them to get it.
Yeah.
But you didn't have that here. You were along the story and the journey, along with the characters. So you were in the dark as much as they were. So that was cool. Like, it was a detective story for the first half. And then the last half turns into a more typical Torchwood alien-esque story, where you see the giant mayflies, those things that have now mutated and they're huge, and one chases after Martha, doesn't it? And then we see another one in the tank. And there was also that, I think it was the first time really where you actually thought Owen was a decent guy, because I mean, there was a slight, because there was a couple of times that you mentioned, like Tosh and Owen had this little thing where he agrees, but up to that point he'd always brushed her off so nonchalantly, like, oh yeah, in your dreams, Tosh, sort of thing. It's never going to happen. But in this one, he yields and he's like, all right, then, yeah, we'll go one date, see what it's like. But then he kind of ruins it when he's like, I'm still going to flirt with everybody and all that. But it's the first episode really where you kind of think he is actually a decent guy because of that scene. And then there's that moment of triumph where he extracts the mayfly out of Martha and doesn't kill her with that device, because up to that point it's always gone wrong, but he's so eager to get it right, and he does it. And then at the end he obviously moves himself in front of everybody and takes the gunshot. So I think it was a great character progression for him. And I just thought it was the first one where I was like, actually, yeah, he's not too bad, Owen. When he's not being a complete dick, he's not too bad.
Yeah, he does. I was going to say, particularly series 1, he's very cocky and sure of himself, and he's a bit arrogant and stuff. They do soften him a bit more in series 2. He's had some good moments. I mean, he's had some quite comedic moments, and him and Master are quite good together, aren't they? When there's a bit of rivalry there, where she obviously knows a bit more than him, and she's like, "Well, have you done this bit?" And he's like, "Well, I was just about to, actually." And so there were some nice bits like that. He is likable, Owen, but I know what you mean. He was a bit too cocksure of himself, I think, in series 1.
Yeah.
Plus, he should grab Toshiko with open arms. He doesn't know how lucky he is.
Yeah.
No, it is good. I'm really struggling not to click on, because I'm on Wikipedia. I'm thinking, I should click and see if he comes back alive in the next day. I genuinely can't remember what happens to Owen.
He does.
Can you?
He does. Yeah, he comes back as.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, I think it's almost like zombie Owen in the next one, if I remember.
I can't remember. I mean, I didn't even remember. I knew obviously that Martha Jones was back in this one. I can't remember how long she's in it for. So obviously I know she's in the next one because she's in the trailer. But is she in the next 3?
She is. She did a trilogy of stories. Yeah.
And is that? So yeah, I was going to say, because I seem to remember reading at the time that she was offered, to join full time, wasn't she?
That's right.
They did offer Freema, a proper contract to be in Torchwood full time, and I think she initially agreed, but then decided at the last minute that she didn't want to be in it, because I think she got offered a job in some other courtroom drama on ITV, so she sort of drops them at the last minute. And I don't know if it's during this series or what, but I do remember that specifically. They had to sort of write it. They'd always sort of written the scripts, and it kind of threw the production into a little bit of turmoil, because they were like, oh, well, we thought you were going to join Torchwood full time, and now you're telling us you're not, but we've already written the script, so we're going to have to change a few things. And so, I mean, that may be just after this, because clearly she's in the next couple of episodes, but she would have fitted in very well, Freema, I have to say. I think the only thing is, I think they might have played up to the jealousy of Gwen with Freema, which is ridiculous, over Jack. Because that was the one bit of the episode where I thought, oh no.
Here we go.
When Gwen starts questioning, are you and Jack, have you done anything? And I thought, oh, don't start all that, Gwen. But yeah, I do think Freema would have fitted in, or rather Martha would have fitted in really well if she had joined, which she was so close to doing, I think, full time.
No, I agree, mate.
Maybe that's why they kill off so many people in the next series, because they thought they were going to have Martha in it, because maybe they thought, we're going to be a bit overcrowded, so we better kill off a few people. I don't know. I can't remember where in the production this was all happening, but I definitely remember at the time that Martha was going to join. Yay! And then it's like, oh no, she's not.
Yeah, you're absolutely right though, mate. There was something, and I'm pretty sure it relates to Torchwood and not coming back to Doctor Who. I think you're right. I think she was meant to come back and be a full-time regular.
Yeah.
In Torchwood, but then what was that courtroom?
I can't remember. Do you know, I remembered it this morning and I've forgotten it.
She basically dumped the world of Doctor Who to go and do the courtroom thing.
Yes, and I seem to remember it was last minute. I don't know, the newspapers probably bigged it up more than it was, but I remember they were like, Russell T Davies furious after Freema Agba, abandons them last minute sort of thing, which it probably wasn't anything like that.
I doubt he was furious, but...
I doubt it. He probably sort of threw a pen across the room or something.
Yeah, this is not Chris Eccleston we're talking about.
No. I'm trying to find out that drama.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I think Freema fits in really, and she slotted herself in really nicely with these guys, and to a degree, they kind of got that stuff with Gwen out the way relatively early, which was good.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad either, to be honest. I just, when it first started, I thought, no, but it wasn't bad at all, to be fair.
Yeah, because they could have written that as a whole thing within the episode, like throughout the whole thing. There's this tension between Martha and Gwen, because that wouldn't surprise me, because that would be very Torchwood. Because how many times have we groaned and rolled our eyes at a review of Torchwood where we're like, oh, Gwen's got this thing for Jack, and they have this glance at times, and are they going to, all this ridiculous stuff. But I still don't know why they carried on that little nugget of story where it feels like Gwen has sorted everything out with Reese. At least, after the whole, a few episodes ago when he got his ass kicked, and then everything's fine, and now he's aware of everything. So he's in that world to a degree, and so she doesn't have to lie anymore. Everything seems to be cushy. So I don't know why they keep coming back to this little thing about she's got this big thing for Jack. I just can't. I can't see the payoff, if you know what I mean. I can't see how the conclusion's going to be anything of decent television.
No, I just realised Reese wasn't in this episode at all, was he? I like it when he just pops up, even if it's just a random scene of him, having a funny scene with Gwen or something. But yeah, he wasn't in this one at all, was he? The series is called Law and Order.
Oh, that's it. That's the one.
That was the one that Freema appeared in. Now, you see, this could be where time has changed our memory of it. I'm sure I remember press things at the time saying she'd thrown the production into chaos because she dumped him last minute. That may be completely exaggerated, because according to this, it just says that Eurus Lynn, the director of Children on Earth, intended for Freema to appear in the production, but she was already committed to Law and Order. So maybe it's just that she already took that job and couldn't do it. Who knows? But anyway, it would have been fun, I think. I definitely can imagine Freema in Children of Earth. I think that would have been really cool if she'd been in that series, actually. The next series of Torchwood, yeah.
Yeah. And the cool thing about Freema as well is she gets it from a bigger picture point of view. So with some actors who are just obsessed with playing that same part, I don't want to speak poorly of old Mr. John Barrowman, CBE, but I'm sure he's CBE. But he just wants to play that character all the time, and he wants to be in that one setting all the time. Whereas you have someone like Freema where she's like, okay, I'm not going to go back to do the main Doctor Who show. That's fine. My time was done on that. But I will tweak things slightly, and I'll go into Torchwood and do a little little bit over there, and she gets it. She's not like you could never imagine Rose, Billie Piper, coming up and playing something in Torchwood. I could not see that, because that's not enough for her. She has to be being dragged around, holding on to the Doctor's ankles the whole time. So I don't think that would work for that particular character. Whereas someone like Freema and Martha, that just works. She realises, because they have that conversation, don't they, her and Jack, where he's like, do you miss him? And she's like, nah. And she's like, oh, maybe a little bit. And then they have that catch up, like what she's been up to, how she got hired at UNIT as a medical officer and all that stuff. So you understand that from her character's point of view, she's made her choice. She didn't want to travel with the Doctor anymore. All good. And that's it. Job done, dealt with, and now she's focusing on helping whatever's going on Earth as part of UNIT and stuff like that. Whereas you have characters like Rose that are constantly, like, regardless of what's happening in the universe, what's at stake, it doesn't matter. She's just constantly yearning and she wants to be with the Doctor, and that's it. There's no compromise. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine someone like Rose working well in something like Torchwood. But like I said, fortunately, Martha really does work. And they got that stuff with Gwen out the way, within the first 15 minutes. Gwen corners her, doesn't she? She likes, what's this thing with you and Jack, with you two, sort of thing. So they get that out of the way, and then that's it. It's like down to business, getting everything done. So, and I really like that, because if they'd have gone the other way of Gwen having this jealous streak throughout the episode, it just would have ruined it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the character Martha was perfect to slide into Torchwood. And I do think she could have worked very well as a full-time cast member. But I don't blame Freema, because, if she was offered the other job, or even if she was already doing it, she probably felt like, well, I've done Doctor Who. I want to get something else on my CV. I don't want to be known just for Doctor Who. And I cannot blame her either way, whatever the sort of truth behind all that is. I can't blame her for wanting to do a different show, to get more on a CV than just Doctor Who and Torchwood. So absolutely understand it from Freema's point of view. But I think Martha is a character that I like anyway. I think she's a very overlooked. I won't say underrated, because those of people like myself that like her. But I do think she's a bit overlooked sometimes. I just really like the character of Martha. Her family get a mention as well, and I'm not so keen on her family. That's one thing I will say. I mean, I much prefer like Donna's family to me, but Martha's family, they're a bit. Her mum was a bit of an old dragon, wasn't she? Not the actress, but the character of her mum was a bit moany and stuff. So, but yeah, I just like the character of Martha. So it's nice to see her popping up in Torchwood. She works well with the cast. Like with Jack, you get that nice little moment. There's obviously talking about the Doctor. I don't think they actually mention him by name, do they? They sort of keep saying, "Oh, do you think he put a word in? Do you think?" They sort of say we know who they're talking about, but I don't think they explicitly say the Doctor.
The only one thing is when Owen is questioning Jack about.
Oh yeah.
And he says, "We're under the same Doctor."
We're under the same Doctor. That's right.
But he doesn't. Yeah, they between the two of them, they never say the Doctor.
Do you know, it's cool. Barrowman's he's not really at the forefront of this episode, is he, that much?
Not
thinking
as
about
much,
it.
Yeah, not as much as
he gets
he
a couple of
usually
nice scenes, but he's not sort of I suppose, really, Martha's the sort of lead character, rightly so, because she's like the guest star this week. But yeah, Barrowman takes a bit of a back seat in this one. Not to say he isn't good in the scenes he's in, he is good in it. The bit where they're torturing that guy's quite nasty with the Weevil.
Oh, yeah.
That's quite horrible. There's a bit of an Alien moment, isn't there, where the thing bursts out of his chest. That's a bit gross.
It was cool, though.
It was good. Yeah, Jack's doing his shouty thing.
Because that sets up what could potentially happen to Martha later on in the story.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, that's it. The writer, J.C. Wilshire, never heard of them, but they wrote this, and the construction of the episode, like you said, it flows very nicely. Like you get the funny scene when Owen nearly blows off Yanto's head with the first time he tries to use the machine. That's fun. Yeah. And then the second time he tries to use it on the guy they're interrogating, and it still doesn't work. So then the third time with Martha, he's got to get it right, and you kind of know he's going to, but there's still that doubt because hasn't got it right. So yeah, it's set up very nicely throughout the story. So you get a comedic moment, a not so comedic moment, and then the sort of like life and death moment. So the writer does a good job in that, in setting these things up, and it does flow very nicely, this story. I didn't find myself getting bored. It switches from scene to scene quite quickly, and the story seems to move at a good pace. I agree with you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and Freema does come back to Torchwood, not on TV, but if any fans of Big Finish, you will know that she's back a few times in Big Finish, which is cool. I think the latest one was last year. I think it was called...
what you're
Dissected.
looking at?
Yeah.
Oh, Dissected.
Yeah, the story Dissected. Freema's in that, and she's pretty sweet in that. And again, like most actors who return to play a character from Doctor Who on Big Finish, they've done really well. Yeah.
I must get into those Torchwood audios. I hear they're really good. There's one coming up with Tennant, which I shall probably have to get. But yeah, I hear they're really good, the Torchwood ones, but I haven't got any at all. Well, I'm sad to say. I was just going to say, as far as I can see, J.C. Wilshire, the writer of this episode, I think he only wrote this one. I think he's only credited to one Torchwood episode, which is surprising because the writer seems to get the whole, I think you said it a little bit earlier, he seems to get the whole idea behind Torchwood. He's got the aliens being experimented on. He's come up with a cool concept of this creature that manages to cure things like, or appears to cure things like diabetes and AIDS and HIV. And so there's a good concept there. So it's surprising he didn't come back to write any others. Maybe it's too busy writing other stuff.
Yeah,
but it's
maybe.
good.
But it's a good, like I said, it's a good mix of like alien stuff that you would expect from Torchwood, along with the team trying to figure out what's going on. And talking about John Barrowman in this, I quite like him when he plays this kind of role because, or this type of Captain Jack. And the reason for that is because it lets the other characters in Torchwood do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. But then he also, when he's written to put his foot down and be firm at the right time, that really works. So again, there's been quite a few episodes of Torchwood we've reviewed where we've said that sometimes he does this kind of gunslinger over the top thing where the story's kind of built up, and then it's just him basically kicking the door down, waving his pistol. That's not a euphemism. And then he's like, "You're going to be shut down," blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it turns into a bit of a Hollywood wannabe kind of thing. Whereas in this one, it's really cool because he's kind of observing more than anything else. He's letting these guys do their thing. And he even says it. He's like, right, you guys go off and do that. You and, me and Martha will go and do this. So he delegates properly from a managerial point of view. But it's not till the very end where they go back to the farm laboratory thing, and he's sort of squares off against Aaron, doesn't he? And he's like, "You can't shut me down. We're official." And he's like, "Oh, I can." And then he lays out exactly what he's going to do. He's going to wipe all the network disks, and then he's going to torch everything. I think burn everything. And so he's firm at the end when he needs to be. But then that's the only time. And then even at that point, once he's put his pistol away, he's not trying to be the Hollywood action hero at that point. He's just trying to be, asserting his confidence as the leader of Torchwood.
No, you're right. I mean,
yeah,
it's perfect. I know exactly what you're getting at. I was going to say, there's another scene, isn't there, when he first meets Aaron, the Alan Dale character, and he's trying to sort of say, we're coming in, we're Torchwood, we can do whatever we want, and Aaron's just having none of it. So he's like, "No, I don't think you are. I don't think you are." And he doesn't take it to the next level, which sometimes Barrowman does. He plays that scene quite sort of understated, and I think he's better when he's played it like that.
Yeah,
just not so sort of shouty, I suppose. Like you said, not so gun ho.
Yeah,
if you like.
Old Jim Robinson, from Neighbours.
Jim Robinson. I was trying to think of the name. I mean, Alan Dale actually is a good actor. What was that?
Oh, he's been in loads of things.
What was the thing he was in? So obviously Neighbours. We all know him from Neighbours, but then after Neighbours, he went on to be in something for quite a while, quite a serious role, which I think then made people start taking him more seriously. Because, no offence, when you're in Neighbours, you kind of get pigeonholed as a soap star. But what was that thing he was in for quite a while after Neighbours that kind of got him respect as an actor? Because he is a good actor, very good, and he's good in this. Perfect casting for that.
Dude,
that role.
He's such a hard-working actor. He's been in Beep tons of of stuff, man. I mean, other than Neighbours, he was in. Well, he's been in so many things, but he was in ER for a while.
Yeah,
and then he was in the West Wing for a while. That was a good role for him. Then he was in the OC, NCIS. They were good roles for him. Ugly Betty. He was in Ugly Betty for
Ugly Betty. Oh wow, God, remember that?
Yeah, he was in Lost as well. That was a really popular thing. He was in Entourage. That was another really popular thing. The Killing. He was in Once Upon a Time. He wasn't great in that, but that was a popular thing.
I remember that.
And he's been in Homeland. He's like so many things.
Dynasty.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's had over.
Are they still doing that?
Over 50 roles since Neighbours in 85 onwards. So yeah, man, he's a hard-working dude. I mean, right up until now, yeah. I mean, his current thing is Dynasty. He's been in 60 episodes of that, and he's been in so many things. So fair play to him. It takes to get out of the, like you said, the pigeonholing of Neighbours. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and as I said, I know he's been done loads since Neighbours. So. It is good to see him pop up in this. I just think he's a good actor. I don't know why he had to do the American accent though, because although he does it well, to be fair, he's not bad at it by any means. But I don't know, when you're so used to hearing somebody speak like that, you immediately pick up on, why is he doing an accent?
Well,
but it's not a bad American accent, to be fair.
No, I think he spent the bulk of his acting career after Neighbours doing an American accent. Every single thing I've seen him in post Neighbours has been him with an American accent.
Yeah,
so I think he's probably normal now.
Yeah, I was going to say he probably has completely lost his Australian twang.
Yeah,
and he probably does.
Torchwood didn't want numerous shrimps being thrown around any barbecues, did they? But I think it's probably natural to him now. It's like, dude, we thought you. Yeah, maybe they hired him to be this Australian dude, and he turns up, and they're like, "Oh, we thought you were Australian." He's like, "Well, I used to be. I'm more American now, so deal with it." But maybe they cast him as an Australian actor, and they were disappointed. But he's kind of cool though. I mean, he generally plays these characters of this kind of, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a bad guy. He's just got that corrupt, sinister feel about him. So he plays that very well.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
What did you think to Tosh then? I know we spoke about her briefly, but she's probably the most, I think Tosh and Gwen, they take a bit of a backseat, in this story for me.
Gwen's hardly in it,
she's hardly in it, yeah. And Tosh, she has a couple of scenes, other than that scene with Gwen, with Owen where they agree on the date. Other than that, she's just tapping away on her keyboard. Yep, I've done this. One cool thing though about the episode was when they give Martha the contact lenses that are the cameras.
Yeah, I liked that.
And stuff. Yeah, that was sweet. Do you know what, dude? I think that was ahead of its time, because I can absolutely see probably in 10 to 15 years time, they will actually be a thing. Not so much the camera, but people will be wearing contact lenses, and you'll see like tweets come up in your eye, or text messages, or directions as you're driving your car or whatever. So that was ahead of its time, man. And I thought that was done really well. Like sometimes with those things, like the camera angles are a bit goofy, and you think what that person's seeing, that's not what you're watching on a monitor. That's a different camera thing that they filmed separately. But it was actually done really well. That was a sweet part of it.
Yeah, so I mean about the again credit. I assume the writer came up with that idea, and it's a great idea. I think it's one of those that, like you said, it doesn't feel dated like some of the stuff might. It does feel ahead of its time. You can totally imagine us doing that in the future. I'm surprised we're not already there, to be honest. This is 12, 13 years old already, this story. So come on, get those contact lenses out. But yeah, it does. It works really well, doesn't it? And I loved that scene when Martha's first trying to get initiated into the farm, and she's getting a few things wrong, and they Tosh is like putting up the symbol telling her she's not to say certain things, and that worked really well because it created a good bit of tension, didn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, she said the wrong thing. And the only thing is though, she then manages, they say, oh, we'll get back to you, but she's got to get in, and they say, so she manages to turn that situation around by saying, but actually I've got this hepatitis, isn't it? That's says,
right. Yeah.
Which they immediately then say, oh, we better come in then. I think, well, what? Surely they thought about that before she surely they thought, how are we going to get her in before? So it seemed like she thought of it on the cuff, like, oh, quick, I've got to think of something. But I would have thought they would have come up with that sort of plan before going in, to be honest.
Yeah, like
unless
a plan
she was
B.
just testing the water to see what was
maybe
going on, sort of thing. Yeah,
maybe they had a plan B. Well, they should have had a plan B because it didn't go as it was supposed to. Obviously, they thought. I think they think that she was just going to rock up, take some blood, apply, and then all good, because they were just looking for test subjects. Anybody, but she fought on her feet though, old Martha. She doesn't. Yeah, and that kind of reinforces Jack's confidence in her, which is good, because the other people in Torchwood, when she suggested the idea of going in undercover, they were like, nah, we can't do that. And then Owen even comes up to Jack afterwards. He's like, look, this is a bad idea, dude. And he's like, and Jack's like, well, we've both been in situations like a hell of a lot worse than this, and I trust Martha with the fate of the world. And I think Owen says something like, really, that much? And he's like, well, I have done. And I think that's Owen's realization that, okay, Jack like really thinks highly. Because if you think about it, Martha was quite pivotal in things like the Stolen Earth and that two-parter, and the what was it, the Oscar Harden key? What was it called? That thing that
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
whatever it's called.
It was something key.
Yeah, and so she's in charge of that. So she's been in some high stakes situations before. So this, I don't think she necessarily said this will be a walk in the park for me, but she was more than capable of doing that. So that again was written very well, because normally somebody like Owen or Gwen would even step up and do that. But then, like we were saying, Gwen and Tosh are not really in it that much. And that goes back to Tosh. There's a couple of scenes where she's doing her thing. She's got a groove on with the networks and the keyboards and all that IT techie stuff. And that's it, really. I think they just default Tosh to that mode when she hasn't got anything else to do. They're just like, right, just get Tosh to do some typing on the keyboard and hacking into some networks, and that'll be it, job done. So other than that, Tosh and Gwen were fairly quiet, really.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because we know that Tosh is a good character, and you remember that episode where I can't remember why, but she was acting different, where she acted a lot stronger, and I can't remember what but she was the character was a bit different. She was the one in control, and Owen was the one that was chasing after her. But it was like, I liked it when they wrote her like that, and I wish they'd give her a bit more to do sometimes. I think she's a good character, but you're right. The default is, just give Tosh some computer stuffy to do. That's her done. Yeah.
That was the last episode, Adam, where that guy makes her think
that's it.
She's in love with him, and she's a lot more confident. And
a lot more confident. But that was good, because she played that really well, and I think so. We know she can do that sort of style of character for Tosh. So. But I mean, it was supposed to be very different, so I guess she can't be like that all the time.
Yeah. What did you think just want to finish up on the alien side of things? So we saw the Weevils, they're expected in Torchwood now.
Yeah.
What did you think to the actual alien that they used in this and the Mayflies? Because they looked kind of cool. When that woman died and they came out of her mouth and then they all died suddenly, that was cool. But then we saw a much larger version. So I think they said that the Mayflies mutate once they're inside a host, and then they grow and stuff like that. So we see these really massive Mayflies, and there's a really sad bit where Gwen is looking through like a glass canister, and there's one inside and it's dying and stuff. So you kind of feel for them. They've been captured by this company farm, and then they've been essentially just tortured and manipulated into doing this sort of stuff. So it's kind of sad in a way, but they did look fairly good, though. The effects for the time, not amazing, but the actual effects did look. There's a bit where one of them chases Martha, and it's quite dark, and you think, okay, they've got away with that. But then we actually see a much larger one later on, and it looks kind of cool. It doesn't look terrible.
No, I thought the effects, while not amazing, were certainly good for the time, and they do stand up all right now. Because, like I said, this is 13 years ago, mate. It's So yeah, I think they look decent. Like, they're not the best effects, but God, it didn't jump out at me as being bad or anything like that. Because there is that scene, like you said, where the giant one's chasing Martha, and you probably could be picky and say, "Oh, that looks a bit ropey," but for the time, I think they're pretty good effects. Yeah, especially like you said, all the creatures that are being experimented on and that stuff all looked very good. In fact, the whole production in this one's not bad. It's pretty good. There's a bit where Martha's tummy is sort of bubbling.
Yeah.
It's got the parasite thing inside her, and that looked pretty good for the time. Like her stomach, I don't know, it was quite gross, but it looks quite convincing.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously took its cues from that side of things from the Alien movies. That's
definitely
a given,
yeah.
But that's not a bad thing because it wasn't a direct rip-off of it. It was just, like all good sci-fi, it sort of borrows little bits here and there from other sci-fi, and so it does that. It has that common, typical tropes that you would expect from good Alien style sci-fi. So that was cool, but the effects weren't too bad. Unfortunately, there's not too many of them either.
No, I was going to say it's not very effects heavy, is it? This one,
no,
which is good. But the bit where it comes out the patient's mouth, that all looks quite good, and that surprised me as well. I don't know about you, I wasn't expecting that to happen, so that was a bit of a sort of jumpy moment, which worked quite well.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, for me, there are certainly more positives than negatives with this one. It was...
me too.
And the death of, quote unquote, death of Owen at the end, that happened really quickly as well. Sometimes they write death scenes to be quite drawn out and someone's cradling them and there's like a goodbye speech and there's lots of tears and stuff. Other than Tosh having a bit of a tear up, afterwards, it happens quite quick. For old Owen.
Yeah, and I like you were saying about Barrowman as well. I like the fact that he kind of snaps, doesn't he, and just shoots Aaron straight in the head.
That's cool.
Like he's not messing around at that point, and that's pretty good. It was a good, surprising death. As I said, I'm quite intrigued by how he comes back alive. They probably saved the big tear-jerking, cradling death for Yanto, from what I remember. I'm pretty sure in Children of Earth when my memory of Torchwood is so bad, I think he dies in that. I don't know. I seem to remember a lot of tears from Yanto in Children of Earth. I could be wrong. Talking to Yanto, he does provide some good comedy moments in this. Again, it's a bit default, isn't it? But there's the bit about the beret when Martha says, Jack says you might want me to get you a unit berry, a red one. And he's like, yes. So there's a couple of good little moments like that, I thought, of him. And the bit where Owen nearly blows his head off is quite funny as well.
It's his face in that bit where he ducks and then his face comes back up. He's like, what the hell? Yeah. So not too bad for Yanto. We do unfortunately default back to Alfred in the Batcave a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Especially at the start when Martha first arrives and it's a sort of POV and he's like, sorry, we're closed. Oh, sorry, Mom. Didn't realise it was you, sort of thing.
Yeah. But then again, there's not much you can do, ultimately. I mean, I know we complain about that sometimes, but realistically, if you start to write Yanto in doing all sorts, then you're just muddying the water for what? What's going on. You can't, unfortunately, it's the same problem that Doctor Who has when you have more than one companion. As soon as you start adding more people to the mix, and it would have been even worse because Martha's in this one, then you're immediately, every time you write stuff for another person, someone else has to have less screen time because you've got another person, which is obvious to say, but when you think about it in terms of writing a TV program, you ultimately end up with, Yanto probably could have done one of the things that maybe Jack did, but then he does get involved a little bit. He goes off with who is he with? Is he with Tosh? As their
no, it's Owen, isn't it? Well, when they go to the farm.
Yeah, is he with Owen or Tosh? Is it Owen? Because I thought Owen was with Martha to do the whole medical thing. I can't remember. So anyway, whoever he's with, he's doing his investigating stuff as well, and he taps his little thing. He's like, yeah, Jack, this is like sit rep. This is what's going on. So he does all that stuff fairly well. But yeah, he does default back to that.
There's a bit where they drive off in their souped up car as well, and Jack turns to whoever it is he's with. I can't remember now. I thought it was Owen, but he says, the grey is so not her colour.
Oh, that is Owen, yeah.
I felt like that was a bit of an ad-lib. I was like, I bet Barrowman just threw that in. It sounds, the way he said it.
It sounds more like John Barrowman than Captain Jack, doesn't it?
It did seem a bit random. Yeah. A random comment, yeah.
Yeah, I read you. Yeah. Okay, well, I've got nothing else on my notes to go through, dude, so unless you have, we'll get on to some scores.
No, I've got nothing else.
Got nothing else, right? I think it's me to go first. I'm going to give this a 7.5, dude.
Oh, okay. I'm giving it a 7.
You're giving it a 7. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's one of those. I love it when I quite often struggle with the scores, but occasionally an episode I just like this one. It's just a 7. There's no debate in my mind at all. So.
Mm-hmm. I read you. Yeah, I gave this a 7.5 because I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of those Torchwood stories that had you gripped pretty much throughout the story, and just not many negatives to sort of bring the score down too far. We had that little thing with Gwen, which is annoying, and we had a couple of moments where you thought that, okay, we know that certain people survive, but they're just longing out these kind of, are they going to die? Are they not going to die? Sort of thing with Martha and stuff. But other than that, yeah, it's not a bad Torchwood at all, this one.
No, not bad at all. I am looking forward to the next one as well. Sometimes when we do these Torchwood episodes, like I'm not really always left particularly gripped or looking forward to the next one, but this one I am. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Owen and a bit more Martha.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So a 7 from him and a 7.5 from me. What did our listeners think? We had a few in this week, as usual, from Down Under. Sammy Satine.
G'day, Gary and Adam. Sammy Satine here. So, reset. Really interesting concept for an episode. A drug that resets the body back to its factory settings. It's such a heinous crime that is committed on the Mayfly and the human trial subjects. Also, this whole insect coming out of you thing just freaks me out. Still, a great episode. I love Martha in it. It's nice to see her. Dr. Copley is a murderer. He murdered Owen. Also, those aliens and the trial subjects. I give it 8 Mayflies out of 10. See ya.
He is a murderer, Sammy.
Murderer. 8, yes, good score.
Yeah, an 8 from Sammy, not a bad score there. Thank you very much, Sammy. Moving on, this is TARDISNet 66.
Reset is probably the weakest story of Series 2 of Torchwood. It's not bad, just very forgettable. I think I would enjoy it more if I enjoyed Martha more as a character, but unfortunately I've never found her particularly believable or convincing as a doctor, and this story kind of just centres around her, and the plot isn't very intriguing in its structure. It just kind of plods along. We have an interesting idea with a drug which can reset the human body and cure anything, and interesting themes at the end with the immorality of exploitation, but they never really become part of the story until the end, so most of the themes remain unexplored.
Huh.
Not much of a fan. It's weird, isn't it? I always see. I think Martha's such a good companion, but I know a lot of people who feel the same as TARDISNet. They just don't. They're not bothered by her. See, I prefer her to Bill or even Rose. I think she's probably my second favourite new series companion. I like Donna best, and then probably Martha. But not everyone everyone agrees.
No, I read you though. It's it's quite a common thing with Martha, unfortunately. But she's a great character. She is, yeah, but they're not really feeling it, TARDISNet.
No.
Not feeling that one. Thank you very much for your review, as always. Moving on, this is Neil Cam.
Hi guys, how's it going? So, where to start? Reset. I can't believe that it's been 13 years since Torchwood Series 2 aired. Time flies. That is absolutely crazy. And Torchwood Series 2 is a very strong series. In fact, the programme was riding on the crest of a wave at this stage. It's great to see Martha cross over from Doctor Who. I thought her entrance scene with Ianto was very funny. Her interactions with the rest of the crew, especially Owen, are very good. But obviously, number one when it comes to that is their interactions with Jack, and they're talking about their travels with the Doctor from Doctor Who Series 3. And I actually find the camaraderie and chemistry between Jack and Martha is actually far better than the chemistry between Jack and Rose from Doctor Who Series 1. So with regards to the story itself, it was very strong for a Torchwood story. It was a cool plot, and the villain, Alan Dale, it's funny seeing him because I just remember him from being, a really nice family man from Neighbours in the 1990s when I was a kid growing up. I think Martha brings legitimacy, credibility and a tad of nostalgia to Torchwood as she's crossed over. So all in, I'm going to give this story a strong 8 out of 10. Cheers.
Another 8.
8? Yeah. Neighbours. Everybody needs to neighbours. Yeah.
No, I'll read you, Neil. It's yeah. I mean, it's certainly one of the Torchwood episodes that, and you're right about Martha as well, lending a little bit of legitimacy to the medical side of things at least, and also bringing a little bit of the other side of Doctor Who into Torchwood as well, because the Doctor himself or herself is not mentioned hardly at all throughout Torchwood. So when you have a full-time companion that travelled with the Doctor, and that's the other thing as well that was kind of cool that we forgot to mention, was that when they're doing her, when they capture her at the end, they say that they found some stuff in her blood and everything, and they were like, yeah, that you've travelled in space and time, which is why your blood cells are, you know, a really high count of something or whatever. So that was a cool little nugget. But yeah, you're right, Neil. It's yeah, she does bring a certain level of legit to the story. So yeah, and an 8 as well from Neil. Another high score.
Another high score.
Last one. This is Mr. Joe Turner.
Reset is a rather slow-paced story. Incorporating Martha into the more adult Torchwood team was nice to see. Her and Owen formed a great partnership. Owen's death comes as a shock to us viewers, even though I've seen it before. It comes out of nowhere, and the emotion from the team reflects us as the viewers. At times, I found the whole super drug plot that can cure anything a bit unoriginal, yet the Mayfly was a cool idea, even if the CGI wasn't great. Also, I love the use of the machine to save Martha, but it's a bit strange how it finally works on Martha's go, and rather convenient, as in the previous 2 attempts, Owen nearly killed Yanto and exploded Billy's stomach. Finally, Tosha succeeded getting Owen to agree to a date, but again, she's very unlucky as Owen is now dead. It's nice to hear the Doctor recommended Martha to Unit, and there was some nice humour, but to me it seems as though they knew this would be the episode Owen dies, and the story was just a lead up to having that scene. As I've seen Torchwood lots of times, it is very much a setup. Jack was good, and the introduction of Martha almost toned him down emotionally. Also, it very much focuses on the correlations between Owen and Martha's character. Overall, I give this episode a 7 out of 10. Thank you.
Slow pace. Sorry, I just wanted to do Colin Baker. Well, yeah, no, I didn't think it was slow pace, but fair enough, Joe. I thought it moved on quite nicely.
Yeah, I did like Joe's very sort of, yeah, well, she's unlucky because he's now dead.
Yeah, no sympathy at all.
None at all.
Dead.
It's true, though. I mean, we
Jim.
said it a few times. The Torchwood people, they're very unlucky in love, it seems. Yeah. Thank you very much to all you guys for sending in your audio clips. Your audio reviews, very much appreciated. We didn't have any on Facebook. We had a few on Twitter, though, so I'm going to rattle through those ones. Our writer, Jordan Shortman, was first up and said, brilliant episode. I remember this being one of my faves from the original run, and Martha is brilliant. I remember the ending really shocked me, but leads to a nice trilogy of adventures next. The Mayfly is a good one. One-time creature, too. Brilliant. Rotide, the episode is a solid watch. Owen dying at the end is still as emotional as it was the first time. I love to see the growth of his character through the series and was sad to see him die. An eerie and intriguing episode indeed. I give it a solid 8.54449 out of 10. Very precise. Yes.
Very.
Chippy T, a crackerjack of an episode, tense, exciting and emotional. Without demeaning Torchwood, this is a story worthy of Who. The Mayfly is a great idea. I wonder if RTD ever thought of saving it for the Doctor. 9 tears of sadness for me. Oh, a bittersweet 9 out of 10 for Chippy T. Nicky H, or Nick H, says, an okay episode that delivers a gut punch at the end. Martha does not add much to the plot, but she fits in well with the team. An average episode lifted by the ending, a 7 out of 10.
7.
Okie dokie. Henry Gillespie. I really do like this episode. I think the inclusion of Martha is very nice with a good balance of fan service and plot relevance. The idea of exploiting aliens for human gain is well done. The ending was a real shock and sets up the next episodes well. In brackets, 2 of my faves. It gives it a 7.5. And lastly, Sarah Louise, the running Whovian, says a good storyline and great to have the crossover of Martha and Units from Doctor Who working with Torchwood. Am I the only one that gets distracted by the fact that Jim from Neighbours plays the evil Doc? It's sad when Owen dies, having saved Martha, and she thinks she can't save him. And Sarah gives this an 8 out of 10.
Nice one, Sarah.
Some fairly decent scores here, mate, for this one.
Not bad.
Not bad at all, which is good. So that was Torchwood and Reset. Thank you very much to everyone who sent in your reviews, either with audio, in audio or on Twitter. Thank you very much. Next week, dude, where are we going?
So next week, it's we're revisiting the Matt Smith era with the episode The Angels Take Manhattan.
The Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah, I was convinced this was a 2-parter. I always think of this as a 2-parter, and it's not. It's just, I don't know why I thought that, because when I saw it on the schedule, I was like, "What's the 2-part?" It's not.
No.
Maybe it's because it's a finale, isn't it? To Series 7,
Series
is it?
7. It's the mid-series finale to Series 7.
Oh, of course.
It's where they
maybe
do that
that's
break.
why I'm thinking it's a. Maybe that's why. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. But I think I haven't seen it in a while. But this is the one where we say goodbye, isn't it, to Amy and Rory?
I haven't seen it. Yonks.
Nah. Series 7, isn't it?
It's Series 7. Say no more, mate. It's Series 7.
Yeah, so that's what we're up to next week. But I think we'll wrap there, though, for 297.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for coming back and listening to the show. If you have just jumped on board and this is your first time listening, then thank you very much for joining us. If you've come back, if you're one of the long-time listeners, one of the grizzled ancients, then welcome back. It's great to have all of you here so we can talk about Doctor Who. For 297, next week, as Adam said, for 298, we are looking at the Series 7 mid-series finale. It is The Angels Take Manhattan. So get that watched in whatever format you've got it on. I'm not going to tell you to reach for a limited edition steelbook. You can do that if you want, it's up to you. Or reach for the old DVD box set when it first came out. Or look at it on iPlayer. Netflix, I'll leave it up to you. But just get it watched. That's all we're saying. Because next week, as always, we'll be asking you for your thoughts and reviews. So we can play them or read them out on the show. It's the best bit of the show. So get that watched. In the meantime, head over to the website bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows on there. Plus, you can read all of the awesome articles and reviews that our writing team put up there. Some really great stuff. So go and check that out. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. There are links on the website to those things, or just do a search for us. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, so come and give us a like and a follow over there. And we have a free Discord server as well. There's a link on the website to that. Come and sign up, and it's free to do so. Just come and hang out with other Doctor Who fans and talk about all sorts of Doctor Who stuff over there. We talk about Big Finish, we talk about classic Doctor Who, merchandise, thoughts on what's happening in the world of Doctor Who's in terms of rumours and what we think is going to happen, all that jazz. So come and check that out. We'll also remember to check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is, in fact, The Geek's Handbag.
The Geek's Handbag, yeah. Go and have a look at my channel. Lots of vids. Be a new Doctor Who autograph video up any second now.
Loads of vids over there.
Yeah.
So if geekery stuff is your thing, you want to see Adam review all sorts of stuff, not just Doctor Who, loads of things, on-the-spot reviews, convention reports and roundups and location visits, all of that stuff. And a highlight is Adam going through his blind box unboxings and watching the joy or the sadness of what he gets out of those things. So really cool. So go and check that out, The Geek's Handbag. Until next week for 297, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,